Hi guys, I'm Samina from thecodecottage.com and welcome again to my YouTube channel. This is day 2 of 30 days of code where we are learning how to make your very own WordPress theme from scratch. So yesterday, this is what we had coded. We built up the bare bones structure for our website, and we also just played around with the CSS to check if it's working. But we don't need any of this now. So I'm going to get rid of this h1 tag and the I tag, which had the icon. And I'm also going to get rid of this style because we don't need any of this. This was just a practice. So before I begin with actually going ahead with the code and building what we had decided we would do, that is this navigation and social media bar at the top of the website. Before we get to that, I just wanted to make a slight change to my Google fonts. Now, as you can remember, yesterday I only chose weight 400 of railway, but then as I moved ahead and just studied my wireframe a bit closely, I realized that apart from this font weight, which is 400, I will also need this, which is slightly thicker in comparison to this one. So I would say I would need about 600 as a font weight as well. But just so we don't keep making changes over and over again, in other words, just to be on the safe side, I will also be picking a few other font weights. So let's do that. So I'm going to go back to my Google Fonts. And I'm going to look for Playfair display. Actually, I'm just going to look for railway. There's an easier way instead of doing everything all over again. So I'm going to select that. And in Customize then, I'm going to select 400. I will also select medium, semi-bold, and bold. I'm pretty sure I won't be needing the extra bold or the black because we don't want to have those weights in our on our website. So I'll go back to the embed part of it, and here, as you can see, I'm only going to select this bit because we already have the code here. So as you can see, CSS family equals Playfair display, and then railway and display equals swap. So what I will do is I will only select this bit before and from railway, just the name of the font and the different weights, and then I'm going to go back into my code, and here I'm going to take off railway and replace it with the different fonts that we have. Perfect. Now, just to be sure that this works, I'm going to put that h1 back again. Save that. Go here, add h1, font family railway. And in case that doesn't work, we have sans serif. And font weight, I'll select 700. And then I'm just going to view this in my browser. So I just want to see if, oh, and it does. Perfect. It does work. Let's just see if that's actually working. So I'll inspect the element and I go into h1, and you can see here the font weight is in fact 700, because if I change that, it does change, and if I make it 500, it does change. So we have successfully added further font weights. So this is sort of a mini tip for you right here. In the event you want to make any changes to the font weights, there is no need to add all of the fonts again. You just go to the font that you want and include the weights that you need and just add them here like we did earlier. Now finally it's time for us to move on and make that navigation bar that we've been planning to do since the beginning. So the first thing that we need very clearly is this section right here, which has the font color of this pale cream. Over that, then we need these icons over here. It's written here, but we are going to add the font or some social media icons and the navigation menu. So home page, about, say, different kinds of categories, contact, resources, those kind of topics will go on here. So let's begin. So in our body, we will first create a comment because I want there to be a clear distinction of what we are trying to make, the different sections of the home page, because it's very easy. Like right now there isn't a lot of code, but eventually then there is going to be tons of code and it's going to keep growing, and when you visit it again you shouldn't be overwhelmed or confused. So I've made like this really nice box here commented out, and here I'm going to write what we are making. So we are making the navigation and the social media bar or the social media section. So how we begin first is use the header tag, because this will be the header portion of our website. So we'll add the header tag. I'm going to add the class of header container. Perfect. And here I'm just going to add a comment dot header container, just so I know exactly what class is being used for that tag. As I said, right now it doesn't feel very overwhelming, but as we build up on this and create more and more code, there's suddenly going to be thousands of lines of code, and we don't want to get overwhelmed if we have to revisit it at a later stage. So now let's begin. So that whole, I'm sorry about that noise. So that whole, so let's begin. So this whole bar is the nav bar, and I'm just going to quickly explain what I'm going to do now. So I would assume that this is 3 different parts. So this is one part for the social media, one part over here, and one part for the menu. So if we divide this whole bar into 3 different sections, so I want the social media icons to occupy 1/3 of this bar and the navigation to occupy 2/3 of the bar. That way, we will be using the spans that we have generated over here. So as you can see, the columns that we made span 1 of 3 and span 2 of 3. So that's how we are going to divide this. So span 1 of 3 will occupy 32.26% of a row, and span 2 of 3 will occupy 66.13% of the row. So this will be 1/3 and this portion will be 2/3. So let's code that bit first. So I'll start with the nav tag. I won't add any class to that. Now, as you can see, first I'm going to add a div with a class of row, and I'll explain why I did that. So here we can see this is one row, and within that row we want 2 columns. This whole thing is a row, and within that we want 2 separate columns. So one column will be called span 1 of 3, and the next column will be called span 2 of 3. As you can see here, this is main call, so it will apply all the standard formatting that we have added from the grid, responsive grid system the other day, or yesterday rather. It will add this styling, and then it will further add these styles to our style sheet when we add it to our HTML file. So let's get started with that. So our row has been created, which means this entire row has been created. Now within that row, we are going to add 2 different columns. So div with a class of call and span 1 of 3. I'll just add that as a comment here. And subsequently, I will also add another div with a class of call span 2 of 3. Perfect. So now our 2 sections are ready. So 1 of 3 is for social media and 2 of 3 is for the main navigation menu. So now within this div, which I have created, sorry, not that div, this div. So within this div, I have created, I'm going to add the social media classes and the icons. So we will begin first. So it's going to be a list. So for list, we're going to make an unordered list. So UL, and I will add a class of social links. Perfect. Now within UL, I'm going to add my list items. So li, close li. And obviously now I want those to be links. So I'm going to add my ahref tag and close that as well. And for now, I'm just going to give it a hash sign because we will be linking it dynamically when we go into WordPress. So we don't need to do that right now. And within that link tag, we will add links to our icon font because we want the icon to be displayed. And how do we do that? We do that by going into Font Awesome and copying the code for the particular social media icons that you need. So the standard set of icons is obviously Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Pinterest. You could add other icons if you wish, but I will be sticking to 4 icons. That's Facebook. So I'll be selecting that rounded one. And I suppose that's FAB, FA Facebook. That's correct. So I'm going to copy that. And then into my code editor, I'll just paste that. And then I'm just going to copy this entire thing. 1, 2, and 3. So I have 4 icons here. Right. So, but I will obviously be changing this portion. So I'll take that out because I'll be adding fresh copied icon classes over there. So I've got my Facebook. I'll go to Twitter. There you go. That's Twitter. I guess that would be FA Twitter. Oh no, that is FAB as well. So I'll just paste that there. Then I'll go to Instagram. And here I have the Instagram icon as well. Copy that as well and then paste it into my code editor. And similarly, I will also do that for, say, YouTube. So these are the 4 social media icons that I have added. You can add whichever you want. The process remains the same. There you go. So now our icon fonts are here and I'm just going to save that and head into my just going to view it in the browser to see what it looks like. So we can see that our icon fonts are displaying. It's obviously not how we want it to look, but that's because we haven't styled them yet. So we'll be styling them later. But first we are going to prepare our structure for the navigation. Now that our social media icons are sorted, we'll move on and make the menu section. So similar to what we did for social media, I'll create an unordered list again. This time I'll give it a class of main nav because this is going to be our navigation. And then we're going to follow the exact same procedure that we did for the social media icons, except this time we won't be needing any icons, so to say. ahref, and that's where we'll be adding home. And now I will be copying and pasting this a couple of times. So this could be about, say, travel, maybe food, and then contact. Obviously, this could be different. This is just something I have at the top of my head, from the top of my head. So I'm just going to add that, and let's have a look. So we have all of these here. Now, maybe I'll just change this travel and food to say resources, because I don't want it to look shabby, or maybe even start here. So from here, you could take your readers to the different categories that you have to offer. So that's a great way. So now our navigation is ready, as you can see here. We want to beautify it. We want this to look like this. So let's do that. The first thing before we even start changing this is to add general styling to our style sheet. So I'm going to head to my custom.css, get rid of this h1. And the first thing I want to do is create a comment and include all of my colors into this space, just so that it becomes easier for me to access them when I am writing my code. So the first one is a dark orange. Also, just a shout out to Awesome Color on Instagram. So let me just, obviously this is not a sorry, what am I trying to say? So a big shout out to Awesome Colors. So this is the website that I use every single time when I want to get some inspiration for my themes. I mean, just have a look at how stunning their color schemes are. So if you were able to spot, this is the color scheme that I chose from their website or from their Instagram handle, Awesome Color. I am linking it into this style sheet. Color scheme from Awesome Color inspiration is just so subtle, and it just looks really pretty, and it's very elegant looking at the same time, and fun and quirky as well. So it basically goes well for all kinds of blogs, businesses, entrepreneur websites, whether it's a lifestyle blog or a food blog or a travel blog or a little product website or a service website. I think that this color scheme is so fab. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write down all of these codes and what I feel their color corresponds to, just so it's much easier for me to access it later on. Now let's begin by styling the general themes for the website. And my air conditioner is acting up. Finally, I think it's silent now. So let's get started. So first thing we want to do is add basic styles. So this is the raw styling, again, like I did for the index.html page. I'll be doing the very same, just so it's much easier to section this out. As our code keeps building up, it's going to be a little difficult to handle everything. So I'm just going to write here basic styles. And now here, the first thing I'm going to target is the overall design and structure of the website. So Normalize adds its styling, but before Normalize can do anything to any other browser styles, we target absolutely everything on this web page, and we give it a margin of 0, padding of 0, and box sizing of border box. This is something I always do. It basically gives you a pure blank canvas, completely eliminating any pre-existing styles that there may have been. So it's very important. This is the very first thing I always do. The next thing is targeting the HTML and the body tag. And to that, I'm going to add a background color of white, text color of this. I always use this for text color. It's just a really nice charcoal black. Then I'm going to go on for the font family. So as we decided, the body for the website will be railway, and in case it cannot find railway, it'll fall back to sans serif. Then the font size will be 18 pixels, and the line height will be 145%, and the text rendering would be optimize legibility. So this is the standard stuff that we have to code before we begin the actual styling. There's still a few more things to do. For example, the class of row that we created, we will give it a max width of 1140 pixels and a margin of 0 from top and bottom and auto along the sides, so it really centers everything. And finally then we're going to create a lot of sections within our website, and to ensure that they are spaced out evenly, I'll give them a padding of 40 pixels from the top and bottom and nothing from the sides, because we'll be adding our own padding to the individual elements within the section as we go ahead. So this is just the basic styles. Now I'm just going to save this. You'll see nothing much is going to happen except that our font has changed, right? And this has become bigger because we added a font of 18 pixels to our fonts, and they're spaced out pretty well, but we still have a lot to do. We're not going to go there just yet, because now we're going to add global styling. Now the global styles are basically so they're basically styles that we will apply to the anchor texts, then the fonts, what will happen to the H1s and the headings. So we have H1 all the way through H6. So how we want those to display, we'll be deciding those now. We'll also be adding links, the stylings to button and button text and things like that. But we'll be tackling that much later, because we won't be doing that until we reach here. So for now, we'll just be focusing on this part, and we'll keep adding into our code as we move ahead. So I'm just going to move ahead. So here now we'll target all of our headings. So H1 all the way through H6. And what I want to do here is give it a font family of Playfair display and fall back to serif. Then for all of the Playfair display or the serif fonts within the headings, I want the text transform to be lower. Why I do that, I just have, it's lowercase. So the reason why I do this is because this serif font is very bold. We have on purpose chosen a really heavy weight for that font. So we don't want to make it all caps, because then it comes off as too strong. We want to make it seem really subtle and kind of goes with the flow. So we want to make it all lowercase. On the contrary then, when we use railway for the body content, not exactly the body, but as we use it for the button text, I'll just have this opened. So as you can see here, when we have these serif fonts over here, when they are in lowercase, it looks a lot more subtle. And then for the sans serif fonts to bring out a bold factor in it, we make them into uppercase. So it just balances each other really well instead of becoming overpowering or underwhelming. So that's the goal, and that's the reason why when I add the styling for my headings, the text transformation will be lowercase, so they will all be in lowercase. I will also add some letter spacing of 2 pixels, just evenly space it out. I'll add a color. Now all the colors will be, for the heading, will be this one, the dark orange. So I'll just copy that and paste it here. And as always, line height will be 145%. So we have all our headings sorted. Now we'll be adding colors to the links. Now if I refresh this, nothing's going to happen because we don't have any heading tags here yet. And a visited. The color again will be same as the dark orange one. And the text decoration, because we can see it's always got this underline and we don't want that. So the text decoration will be none. Then we go to A hover and A active, and the color will change to this really pale green. Just looks really beautiful. So I'll copy that and paste it here. That's perfect. So let's just see if that works, and it does. So you can see it turns into this amazing green, but as you can see also it's very quick to make that transition, but I want there to be a little slowly easing in and then easing out of it. So in order to do that, I'll just make a change here and add transition all 0.5 seconds. So once I do that and I refresh it, you'll see it goes in really slowly and comes out really slowly. Eases in, eases out. Eases in, eases out. So there's a really nice flow to it instead of being really sharp in its changes. So we have tackled the link part of it. Now the next thing that we want to do is finally begin with our styling for these two elements. So we're just going to have a quick look here again. So let's do that. So what we want is for these bullet points to be gone and these to be next to each other as opposed to one below the other. Very easy. Let's get started. Before we begin, again, I'll separate that into the social media or navigation plus social media icon styles. Just copy that. Perfect. So the first thing that I want to target is the container, which we have given a class of header container right here. So that contains everything within that space. So this is our container, and as you can see, we wanted to have that light cream color. So let's do that. Dot header container. We're going to give it a background color of that pale cream. So copy that, paste it here. Perfect. So that's the background color that we want. I'm just going to go back. I would just like to keep showing you what it looks like. So you can see what it looks like. And there you go. We have the background color. Now the next thing we want to do is add a bit of padding because it just looks so tight and we kind of don't want that. Oops, there you go. We want it to be evenly spaced out. So let's get to that. I'm going to add a padding of 10 pixels and 30 pixels. So 10 pixels top and bottom, 30 pixels to the left and right. And the width will be 100% because I want it to span all over the length of the screen. So as you can see, it's quite spaced out now. Now we want to get rid of these bullet points and have them display one next to the other. So let's do that. So first thing we want to do is get rid of those bullet points. So social links dot main nav list style will be none. So let's see if that, and that's worked. So our bullet points are gone. Now let's look at the social links. Now before I can have that side by side, I'll first edit how I want this to look. So I'll add a font size of 14 pixels just to see what that looks like. And it's nice and tiny. That's perfect. I don't want it to be overwhelming. I'll increase the font weight slightly. Now let me check what the font weight is over here. So I have chosen 500. Now we'll go on to main nav. Now within main nav, let's make changes to this. So the very first thing you want to do, like I mentioned before, text transform will be uppercase. We want it to be uppercase. I'm going to give it a letter spacing just to space it out, make it look more even. Perfect. That looks good. Then I will give it a font weight because I want it to be slightly thicker than the rest of the font. give it a font size of 14 pixels and give it a float of right. Social links li and dot main nav li. So we use the li, so we're targeting the list items within our unordered list and we want them to be displayed as inline blocks. So display would be inline block. We have this here, but there isn't much of a separation here and we want that. I'm going to add a margin right of 40 pixels just to space it out a bit more evenly. And as you can see now, they're really beautifully spaced out. They're all looking good. And here we go. We have our social media and navigation bar ready. That's amazing because we are well on our way to creating our website. So I'm going to stop here for today. And in the next video, I'll be showing you how to make this section. And we'll also be making this part of our video. So the header and the hero section. If you found this video helpful, drop a big like on my video, drop a comment, give me your feedback. I would love to hear what your thoughts are. Subscribe to my channel if you found this video helpful. And also if you want to stay updated every day when I post a new video, don't forget to hit the bell icon so you're notified. And until I see you again tomorrow, goodbye.